This is the second year of the Social Media in a Corporate Context Conference. Last year, a lot of people came to the conference because they wanted to find out how to integrate social media functionality in their communications process. They wanted to look to see ways of engaging audience using social media tools. And I think the interesting thing is that this year, in a very short space of time really, people have got a much greater insight into how they're using the tools. They're already using the tools. They're looking at taking it to the next stage.
The internet and social media is totally changing the relationship between the BBC and its audience. We're moving from a broadcast model of one-to-many to a conversation with our audience. So we need to respond to them, we need to understand what they're thinking, we need to get information from them, we need to be responsive to their needs, and social media is absolutely central to that.
The companies we deal with are looking to make their employees feel part of the organisation, so they actually want to bring their hearts and minds as well. And this is emotional stuff, and social media is more emotional, it's more emotive, it's more involving, it's more collaborative than any top-down channel can be. I mean, anything visual, anything where people can express what they feel as opposed to just what they think, we think is something that companies can only benefit from.
I think social media is a key trend that most corporate companies would have to embark on in time to come. And one of the key things that we literally utilized the platform was to create a virtual community for our employees to boost the morale and to ensure that there's a sense of employee engagement amongst them. I think one of the key things that we need to bear in mind is that social media as a platform is a means, and it has to showcase the culture of the company.
The session that we've just finished, which is the one about social media newsroom, I thought was absolutely fascinating. I thought it was well structured. It was really good to have the people who'd created the newsrooms or developed the newsrooms there to tell us how they'd done it and what the purpose was. And then to have people analysing what they thought was good or bad about each one, I thought was extremely helpful.
You need to react very quickly and very clearly online. In the olden days, with newspapers and journalists, you might have had a day to prepare a response. Those days have gone. Now, if there's a storm brewing on Twitter, you need to react very, very quickly. You need to be part of that conversation as it happens. Going away, discussing it for a day and saying something in a press release the day after is futile.
We sell technology, so that's our business. So in a way, if we weren't doing these kind of activities and really making ourselves more accessible, we wouldn't really be living the brand, because we talked about people using Facebook or Twitter or interacting with their friends through social network on our products. So we needed to embrace that in the way we communicate with our audience. So it was really an extension of our brand. It's sort of part of our DNA. It's what we sell to people.
In repressive societies, social media and the internet can be one of the few ways in which people can communicate with each other or get messages out to the wider world. So in places like Iran, we've seen the ability of protesters to be able to tell the world what they're thinking and what's happening is hugely increased by social media. So it's a real asset to our journalism.
Social media is talking about your business now, and you either involve yourself in those conversations or you ignore them at your peril. So I would rather be part of the conversations, and we're treading gently and treading carefully. We don't want to be intrusive, but we want to be part of the conversations that are going on. So I would recommend anybody to be looking at delving into social media and seeing what's being said about them.
The power of the blog, I think, as a social media tool is a key part of an overall communication strategy. So what we've seen many customers do is use it as one piece of the overall communication strategy, and it becomes, as we've talked about, this social media front door to the organization. And it's a way of taking a thought leadership piece or a product piece or a way for an individual, a spokesperson, to communicate with their stakeholders directly in a single voice and engage with those stakeholders. And that's something that you traditionally have not been able to do through traditional media or through a press release or other communication tools that we've seen in the past.
It depends on the audience, because one type of accountability could be more coverage on social media sites such as Twitter and so on. So therefore you create more buzz around the brand, and that's very manageable because all of these sites can be searched and are trackable, and you can use metrics and Google Analytics. So from a media management point of view, obviously you can track and define ROI in that way in terms of what's analogous to column inches in the social media world. But it has to be said that if you have a wider remit and try to engage people to actually consume your products, if you're a B2B marketer, for example, it's very, very tangible. You can determine whether there's a direct linkage between a message that's been put out perhaps on LinkedIn and an ultimate sale. And I have many clients where I manage their social media assets where they've said, Jeff, it's because of that thing that went on to LinkedIn that we got a $50,000 or $100,000 sale. So it's very, very measurable. That's the great thing about social media.
Companies are now looking at mobile technology as their next trend to be able to extend the reach to employees who aren't always PC-based. But as we spoke about DHL in our case study, employees who weren't able to be PC-based at work often engaged at home, because if you give them the right idea, you give them the right concept to get involved in, they will do it out of time and they will do it in their own time, and that is the magic about social media.
I think what we've seen is whether it's B2B companies or B2C companies or service companies, the blog can play a different kind of role, and it can be used as a thought leadership piece, it can be used as a communications piece, it can be used to deliver educational material, product information, employee information. So there's different strategies for different companies depending on what the role of the corporate blog is. But it is what we've seen mostly in the US market over the last couple of years, and now especially in the UK market, it's becoming much more established as a key part of the communications tool.
There's so many benefits that social media can bring. It's not just a communication strategy, it's an overall tool that can be used by everyone throughout so your sales team can be using it, your affiliate marketing team, your newsletter team, you can be running a blog which feeds into a PR campaign. It really can go anywhere in your organisation, and that's why it's really important to build an ethos of social media use within your company.